Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's short daily devotional. Psalm 4, verse 1. This is a psalm of David. Hear me when I call, O God of my righteousness. You have relieved me in my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. How long, O you sons of men, will you turn my glory to shame? How long will you love worthlessness and seek falsehood? Selah is a term used throughout the Psalms. It means to stop and consider. And in fact, we're going to talk more about what the term Selah means in more in depth in another daily devotional. But Selah means to stop and consider, think about what is being said, to meditate on what's being said. Verse 3, know that the Lord has set apart for himself him who is godly. The Lord will hear when I call to him. Be angry and do not sin. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still, Selah. Again, stop and consider. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness and put your trust in the Lord. There are many who say, who will show us any good? Lord, lift up the light of your countenance upon us. You have put gladness in my heart, more than in the season that the grain and wine increased. I will both lie down in peace and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. It's a very peaceful psalm. It's a psalm that considers the contrast of the wicked and those who don't care about God compared to the man who trusts in the Lord, the person who follows after God. God relieved me in my distress, David says. And then he says that God has set apart for himself who is godly. The Lord will hear when I call to him. The Lord's listening to David, and he listens to us. In fact, God cares for us. He wants us to cast our cares on him. Be angry and do not sin. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. Paul actually quotes from Psalm 4 and in verse 4 in Ephesians chapter 4 and in verse at the end, towards the end of the chapter, in verse 25. Therefore, putting away lying, let each one of you speak truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath, nor give place to the devil. When you think about what Paul's using this as it relates to the newness we're to have as Christians, how we're not to treat each other badly, we're supposed to be loving towards each other. But notice the control, the self-control involved here, the thoughtfulness involved. And to me, that's what stands out in this psalm. I will both lie down in peace and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. Despite whatever enemies or whatever plans they have, I will lie down in peace and I'll sleep, because I trust in the Lord, ultimately. The Lord makes me dwell in safety. And put your trust in the Lord. Be angry and do not sin. The idea of meditating within your heart on your bed and be still, but there's this sense of self-control, and that's something that doesn't really exist in our society all that much. The need for people, despite their emotional state, whether that emotional state is in the moment or it's over a long period of time, emotional feelings, to stop and consider what it is they're doing, what the consequences of their actions or inactions may be. And this is what David, and for that matter, Paul, bring up by using this phrase, be angry and do not sin. Emotions are a part of life. That's just the way it is as human beings. Sometimes we wish that wasn't the case, but it is. We can be angry. There are times we're going to be frustrated. There are times we're going to feel overwhelmed. There are times we're going to be at our wits' ends, pulling our hair out. But do not sin. which goes to show that the emotional state, in and of itself, isn't sinful. Sometimes we feel what we feel. And those feelings can change from moment to moment, or they can be over a period of time sometimes. But we're not to sin. Certainly, anger can give birth to bitterness. It can end up having grudges and holding forth hatred and so forth. This is why Paul says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. You need to let it go. Whatever it is, and whatever the means are by which you let it go, primarily praying to the Lord, as David does. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. Trust in the Lord. That importance as Christians of recognizing that our society around us doesn't put a whole lot of stock in self-control. Our society around us tends to think that because I feel something, I must therefore act on it. And that justifies, even if what I'm doing is immoral or wrong, because I feel it, because it's an urge I have, therefore that makes it right. It's my truth. And yet, we're called, as people seeking to do what's right before God, to control ourselves, to control our urges, to control our emotions, to control ultimately our conduct, our actions, our words, our thoughts. That's what we're to control. We are to meditate on our bed. Meditate on what? Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still. Meditate on what? Meditate on the Lord. Meditate on the Lord's commandments, on the Lord's word. I will both lie down in peace and sleep. It's such a peaceful statement from David, such a encouraging statement from David, given all the trouble David saw, partly some of which because came upon of his own accord because of his actions. And yet, David still has his trust in the Lord. And because his trust in the Lord, it doesn't really matter in terms of what happens in life, how things go, because I trust in God. And things will be what they will be. And I think that right now, especially, this is a psalm that we really need to pay attention to Selah, to stop and consider. All right, that's the Daily Devotional for you today. Lord willing, our next Daily Devotional will be Thursday at 6:30. Hope to see you all then. Thanks, everybody.